Hello, avid readers, book nerds, or casual observers. Welcome to the read-along brought to you by the Lit Round Table. I'm Anna.
And I'm Joseph, and this is our discussion of the Lies of Locke Lamora, Book 1 of the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch.
Now we get to talk about the next section of the Lies of Locke Lamora, which was very fun.
Which is chapters 2 through 3 is what we're going to be talking about. So if you're reading along and you haven't gotten this far yet, skip ahead. I don't know what the timestamp will be for that, but just skip ahead until we're not talking about this anymore. And then
we'll try to have like a clear transition so that you can
you'll be able
listen
to tell
for it.
But if you haven't read this far, just either pause and go read it and then come back, or skip ahead, whatever you want to do. But yeah, chapters 2 through 3 is what we're talking about, and I am really enjoying where this is taking us. But I'll let you kind of start off with a discussion on this.
Sure. So, chapter 2, Second Touch at the Teeth Show, was basically takes place on this barge with this live entertainment happening on the river or something.
It's like a collection of barges that all join together. It's this bizarre. It's kind of like, it reminds me of Venice or something, where there's just riverboats everywhere, and it's a very nautical kind of society, which I'm digging the vibes.
And the biggest thing I got from this was the metaphor that was happening, as Scott Lynch was describing the Scott Lynch is the author, as he was describing what's happening with the water theatrics and the silk dancers. Mm-hmm. And how that related to what was happening on the pleasure barge with Jean and Locke and the Salveras. It's a very interesting dynamic because you could see, it was the same kind of, dance going back and forth between the two different things that were happening. Mm-hmm. I thought that was very artfully described and talked about in the book. So,
yeah.
You have to pay attention to what they're describing in the background because it will tell you, it will inform you on what's happening with the characters that you're invested in, which is very cool.
For example, there's a part where, and he's been really good at kind of descriptions for some of these mythical creatures that are extra terrifying for me because I hate the ocean.
Right.
And so a disgusting tentacle-y squid monster that's all teeth, eating these convicted murderers. Was a freaky thought, being one of them, but also it was kind of it was a metaphor for how they're pulling off this con, and they're that monster that's about to eat the, and then when it does, although I'll be curious to see where the story goes, because at the end of that it describes how the people in charge ended up killing the monster
anyway. Mm-hmm.
After it was done eating these convicted murderers.
Yeah.
So if that monster is supposed to represent the crew, the Gentleman Bastards, then we'll see what happens at the end of this book. I don't know.
Well, even going into the next chapter, I was like...
I know. Yeah, let's move on to that. So the next chapter...
Well, hold on. Before we do that, I just want to say, the part that you were talking about, I have a note that just says chef's kiss.
Oh,
to the metaphor of the... of all
Eat that up. Metaphors for days.
Also, this book is making me wish I had more of an appreciation for brandy, because that's the liquor that they're talking about. Oh yeah,
they're really good at making brandy sound delicious, even though I've tried it and I'm not a brandy person.
I am not either. I tried it, I think, over Christmas even, because I think Mom and Dad had some from Grandma and Grandpa, and I tried a sip of it and was like, I can't drink this.
Yeah.
Who knows, I have no idea if that was brandy that was any good or how old it was.
That could have been trash brandy.
It could have been. I have no idea, but it was just so reading this, I was like, oh, I wish I actually enjoyed that. And it wasn't nasty.
Yeah.
We also learned, so at the end of each chapter, there's Locke's interlude, which takes us back in time to shortly after the prologue happened. Mm-hmm. So we get to hear more about Locke growing up, because he's an adult in the proper chapters now. But we basically learn in that interlude that he's going to be well educated. Basically.
Yeah,
he's part of Chain's gang.
He's going to learn, quote, everything.
Yeah, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we get into chapter 3, which is called Imaginary Men, and that chapter starts with, you think, someone figuring out their whole plan and telling the Dawn about it.
Yeah, so when they were on those barges, basically the main character Locke Lamora is pretending to be someone else, and he's just trying to con these guys
Mm-hmm.
in this long con of thinking that he's like this wealthy merchant from another country, and they're gonna do all this stuff together,
And
and
they have to
then
move this brandy very quickly and very secretly, but they need funds to do it.
yeah, this very expensive rare brandy, and then the
Mm-hmm.
next chapter, it's like it starts off with the secret police showing up in the mark for the con's study and telling him like you're about to be conned and like you're about to be conned by the best thief in the city that we've been trying to catch
Yeah.
for years and we have not been able to catch him and he's about to get you and we need your cooperation so we can catch him.
And they list all these other Dons and Donnas that have lost large sums of money to this thief. And you're like, oh my gosh, Locke's been had. Like, they're going to get it.
I know I was totally expecting the dynamic of this book to go in a totally different direction
Yeah.
of like, okay, so now it's going to be this weird game of like they know they're being conned, but Locke doesn't know that they know, so he's going to try
Right.
to keep going with the plan, and then he's going to have to try to way to like wiggle his way out of it and still get the money,
Mm-hmm.
even though they know. But then it gets completely flipped on its head.
Because the book is still implementing um, that the timeline is all out of whack. So like you read things out of order on purpose. So then it cuts to a scene where like Locke and the gang are eating supper and like bragging about how everything's going and they're going to be the richest gang in town and blah blah blah.
Which again, I'll just chime in to say, again, the thing that I love the most about this book so far is the rapport between the characters in the gang.
Yes.
And I love the way Scott Lynch has done character interaction like that. And you can,
Yes.
it's like, you can just tell these characters have been with each other and through thick and thin, through like all kinds of things. And like the character interaction, the dialogue, the rapport is all just superb. Like,
Yeah.
it is my favorite thing so far about this book. And you get a huge glimpse into that during that specific scene during dinner.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, and then like it goes back to the secret police with the Dawn, and then it goes back to your favorite characters, and I guess I'm assuming that because I mean your favorite characters are these gang of thieves, so like they're the bad
Yeah.
guys, but
But they're kind of like Robin Hood. They
but they're
steal
kind
from
of
the
like
rich.
Robin
and-
Hood,
yeah.
except they're not giving anything to the poor. They're just
Yeah,
pocketing
they're
it.
kind of in it just to get rich.
Yeah.
But
But then they start talking about the next part of their plan. And you're like, oh my gosh, the next part of their plan is to pretend to be the secret police. And they start getting dressed up. And like, as it's like described how Locke is getting into his disguise, you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds just like the guy that was in the Dawn's
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, it was Locke the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
it's so cool. It's so artfully done.
because he goes out of his way to describe a scar that goes across the
Yeah.
guy's face, the secret police guy. And then as Locke's preparing his disguise for the next part of their plan, is it Jean or
Yeah.
Jean? Whoever.
Oh.
I don't know the pronunciation.
I'm
Jean.
going to say Jean, but it's probably Jean. Because
Well,
I
yeah.
feel like there's very like French Spanish influence.
Yeah.
Because Donna and Donna I think is Spanish.
Yeah. So maybe this is supposed to be like
Italian?
Madrid. I don't know. Or Italian. I don't know.
We're from Nebraska.
Yeah, America. But no, and then Jean's like, what do you want, like a scar across the face? He's like, yeah, a scar will do. And they start putting this fake scar on his face, and that's when I knew. I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
he's the secret police guy.
Yeah.
That was them the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, ye of little faith. I can't believe I fell for it, Scott Lynch. Good job.
I mean, it's so well done, and the description of it's like theater makeup because they talk about like becoming these characters.
Yeah.
So I think if you're someone, like if you're, I don't know, if you're not reading along with us, I don't know if you're listening to us talk about this part of it, but except I know that Leanne probably is.
Shout out to Leanne.
Leanne's wonderful.
Honest college roommate.
Yes. And she puts up with us talking about all kinds of stuff anyway that she is not familiar with, and she still listens and enjoys it. So thank you.
Our first fan.
Yes.
Leanne.
Indeed. But so anyway, if you're into any kind of theater, and like character development, I think you'll really enjoy this book
Mm-hmm.
because the way that they develop the characters that they're like slipping into to
Down to like the voice that they use for the
Yeah.
different people. Like the voices are totally different because they have to be
Right.
convincing.
Right. Well, I mean, think about it. Locke has been on the barge all day with Don Slavara, and is it that night or the next day?
I think it's that night.
He goes back dressed as somebody else using a different voice, and it's so compelling that the Don has no idea.
To be fair, I think he might be wearing a mask when he's the secret police, like some kind of like.
He had like a no. He had like a scarf over his face, like over his mouth, but he took it off.
Oh right, because then he had the mustache and the scar and everything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so he was able to hang out with someone like all afternoon, and then come visit them dressed as someone else that night and convince them that they were a different person. Like
yeah,
it's very, very cool. It's very cool stuff.
Yeah. And the characterization, like the character development of the actual gang, like when you were talking about the rapport, even when there aren't dialogue tags to tell you exactly who's talking, you know which character is talking because the way they talk is so like well developed that it's obvious.
Yeah.
Which is a hard thing to accomplish, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's really fun. It's a really fun book.
I'm really enjoying it so far.
I know, me too. And it is not like I like fantasy, but this is not.
It's not your
the
typical
vein
genre
of fantasy that I normally read.
Yeah. It's like a heist book too, which I wasn't expecting it to be a heist book.
Right.
But it totally makes sense. It's a heist book about thieves in like this kind of nautical, I don't know, we'll just say Mediterranean setting.
Yeah.
And there's still like fantasy elements of like the city was built by an ancient race that we don't know of, and there's like this elder glass that glows after the sun goes down for a certain amount of time, and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
The false light.
Oh,
know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Joseph's explaining because I just made a face at him like, what are you talking about? I'm up to date. I'm at the same place as you, but what are you talking about?
Well, I actually read. No, I'm just.
I mean, I read the prologue twice because I listened to it and then I read it.
That's true.
But
I kid. But yeah, so it's the world building has been really good. The like, there's still some stuff about like interactions with other countries and like worldly politics that I don't understand, but I'm thinking that it'll be kind of fleshed out eventually.
Yeah. And there's like this ever absent person that they keep mentioning that I'm like, when is she going to show up? Because I think it's going to rock the boat and I'm excited.
I think so. Here's the thing. There was a shadowy figure running around on the rooftops in the first chapter.
You're right. But I thought that was Locke. But maybe it wasn't.
No, Locke was getting choked out.
Oh, you're right. It was happening at the same time. You sure it wasn't Bug?
No, because Bug had like thrown himself off the building. I think that was her. I think that she's like
keeping tabs.
I think she's scoping things out, and she's gonna, or maybe she's the one that's orchestrating the secret police people. Maybe she's gone, quote, good. Maybe she works for the Duke now. I don't know. There's a lot of different directions this can go, and I'm super pumped.
And I can't even tell you what her character name is because they've only mentioned her like twice, very briefly.
Salbeth or something.
Something like that.
But I also think that she is a former love interest of Locke's. I think that's kind of confirmed.
Pretty clear.
So that'll be interesting.
Because he's moping about her.
Yeah, but I will also say I'm also really enjoying. The guy that kind of runs this criminal empire.
The big head honcho.
The big guy.
The Duke is what they call him.
No, that's the ruler of the city, Camor. The Duke of. But no, I mean
the Duke Basavari. That's who.
It's.
You heard me set my pen down, people. This means serious business. I'm getting my book out, because in the interlude, Kappa Barsavi. Kappa Barsavi, but
he's the Kappa. I think the Duke is the person that rules the city.
I think they're the same person, dude. Because in this interlude, Chains takes Locke to meet Kappa Barsavi.
Because it's a duchy. Camor is a duchy.
Right.
So.
Right. And it's the Duke's agents, which are the people of this.
the secret police work for the Duke, which is like the legal, like the people that are actually like the law enforcement.
Right.
But the Kappa Barsavi is the criminal, the underworld overlord guy.
See, my understanding is that it's all just very corrupt, and the Kappa Barsavi is the Duke. And that's why...
I don't think that's right, but...
That's why they had to buy the death token from him so that they're allowed to kill Locke and the police aren't going to ask questions.
Well, because that's the secret peace thing is between the Duke and his lawmakers and the law enforcement, the Yellow Jackets, and Barsavi with all the different gangs that he runs. That's the secret peace or truce or whatever they call it.
Okay, well, next chapter is all about... The next chapter is called At the Court of Kappa Barsavi. So I think these answers will be answered in the next podcast.
We will see. But I was just going to say, regardless of that, that's just a little tangent.
Of one of us not understanding. Probably me.
we will see. We will see who's right. But the Kappa has a daughter who...
Oh, yes.
Who was really... She was, like, really proud of these spiky boots that she had.
Yes.
And he was like, if you kick another one of my guys, you're going to be wearing reed sandals for the next 3 months. And I was like, this is hilarious. This little 6-year-old girl wearing spiky boots. Yeah. And she's, like, this big gangster's daughter. Like, I just loved... I really liked her character,
that was great. I hope she comes back.
Oh, you know she is.
So, she's not the same girl, because... She's not the one we were just talking about.
No.
That's missing.
This is a girl that's not missing, and I think my prediction is that eventually in the book we will see Kappa actually bite the dust, and then she will take over and be the new one. Mm-hmm. That's my...
I think Kappa is a title like Dawn.
Yeah. Which means he's not the Duke.
Unless Kappa means Duke. I'm pretty sure.
I'm just trying to troll you now.
I know you are, but I'm pretty sure it's like synonymous. Because I remember thinking while I was reading, like, wait, how is this guy related to the Duke? And then I was like, oh, I think this is the Duke. But I'm sure we'll find out next chapter.
We will see.
Because it'll be all about him.
Okay. So that's kind of where it left off, though, with that interlude where they went to meet with the Kappa, and he swore his allegiance to him and his daughter. Anna's pen clicking. She's like making a note of it. She's like, all right, who is the Duke and who is who will be made the fool on the next episode of the Lit Roundtable? Who is the wise and who is the not so wise mentor?
Okay.
We will see. It's part of our intro every time.
Yeah, I know.
It could be me. I could be the dum-dum.
It's both of us.
Yeah, it's true.
Depending on the topic, it's both of us.
Yeah. And that concludes today's discussion on the Lies of Locke Lamora. Look forward to our next discussion. Until then, happy reading.